do some announcements. Right quick, Bruce passed out at each table a white sheet networking opportunities. If you do not have a copy of that, please raise your hand. Bruce will make sure you get a copy before you start. Well, welcome everyone to our March SBSC Lunch and Learn on Networking. This is our first one of the year. We were supposed to have a class on taxes in January, but unfortunately the snow kind of canceled that on us. I mean, we've had a great winter. Now we're ready for spring. In fact, today's the first day of spring, so the sun is out, and hopefully the warm weather is coming and business is growing, and we're going to be doing some great networking over the next few months. Right quick, I want to start off by thanking a few sponsors that have made this possible. SBSC is sponsored by BB&T. That's our title sponsor for the year, and they have been our title sponsor for the last, I want to say, 5 years. So we want to thank them so much for what they have done to put these classes on and be a part of the chamber. And without their work, this would not be possible. And so thank BB&T. Also, we have an event sponsor. This is new to the SBSC this year. We have reached out to a few folks, and Lisa Leonard with Lord's Computer Group is with us today, and she had a table set up. And if you did not have a chance to stop by, please stop by on the way out and see Lisa. I'm going to give a few minutes for Lisa to talk a little bit about her company and what's going on. Lisa?
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Leonard. I work for a company called Lord's Computer Group. We're located in Forsyth County, in the city of Alpharetta, off of Romanaux. We sell networking and telecommunication equipment. We are considered a green company. We take used equipment and refurbish it, and we sell it for about a third of the cost of new equipment. A lot of the manufacturers that we sell, like Cisco, Alcatel-Lucent, Akamai Calyx, manufacturers will actually offer you an extended warranty on some of the products that we sell. We also offer asset management and repair services. With asset management, if you have stuff in your office that's sitting there and you're thinking, I need to throw this away or I need to get rid of it, we can offer services where we can't sell it. We actually provide services where it's recycled down to component levels and nothing ever reaches the landfill. The company's been in business since 1976. I've worked with the company for 21 years, and we're established in the community, and we'd like to get to know everyone in there.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for your sponsorship for today. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to our MC, Tori Westmoreland. Everybody, I think, in this room knows Tori. Tori is the chair for the Women Who Need Business. She also sits on our SBSC Council and is very involved in our chamber as well as networking amongst these groups and in our community. So, Tori?
We're so delighted that all of you are here today to learn a little bit more about online and in-person networking. We have two absolute pros at this, and I think you'll be excited to know that we're going to hear from some pros in our audience as well. All of you have some experience that we can learn from today too, so I want you to feel free to ask questions. When you are the person asking the question, if you will do me a favor of speaking loudly. I know that you don't have to speak as loud as me. I know I'm loud. But we are recording this for posting on the internet for those folks who couldn't make it here with us today so that they can learn after our event. So you'll see that our speakers are going to be passing back the lavalier. That's not actually for you and I, that's for our videographer in the back. And if we can possibly keep ambient noise to a minimum, I know that's hard, but if you have a coughing fit or something like that, if you will feel free to excuse yourself, we totally understand. So I want to introduce you to our panelists today. Bruce Longmore is the owner of Lenny's Sub Shops here in Cumming. I bet you never have Lenny's, right? Anybody here fun? He also owns the Lenny's in Alpharetta. And when it comes to in-person networking, he is a pro. From closed networking groups to chamber events, if you're somewhere out and about and coming professionally, you're probably going to see Bruce Longmore. In fact, I kind of see him as like the norm remember Cheers? I kind of seems like the norm of Forsyth County networking. Like when he walks in the door, I kind of feel like, Bruce! So if you don't know Bruce, you should get to know Bruce, but I have a hard time thinking that any of you don't know Bruce. So Bruce has got actually a great lineup of folks today that are going to talk about a couple of different networking groups and events that are available to us here in Forsyth County. Melanie Romanaux is the CEO of Somedia Solutions. If you haven't seen their logo, it is very cool. It's a beehive. So it was actually her master's in teaching and her experience in the world of social media that has led her to leave a huge impact on every company that she comes in contact with, because she doesn't just go out and work in the social media sphere. She really enjoys the art of teaching. And so when you're sitting in a class with Melanie, and she actually gives workshops and things like that as well, and she teaches one-on-one, you really feel like you walk away with an understanding. And I think that for some of us who still struggle with certain parts of social media, this is a very comforting thing. That Melanie is, it's okay, it's not stressful, I'm here to help you not stress out. So at Somedia, she is pretty much the queen bee, and in charge of everything there, from sweeping the office to masterminding major accounts at the Fortune 500 level. So I hope that you'll be very frank in asking both of them their questions. I should also mention that they both have huge passions for charities, local and national charities, and I know that they're going to tell you a bit about that as well. So I'm going to turn it over to them to start with just a 5-minute introduction on their part of today's topic. So Bruce is going to talk about in-person networking, and Melanie's going to talk about social media networking. Now, remember, we're not here to learn the ins and outs of every social media site out there. We're here to talk about why and how it integrates for networking purposes, okay? So that's what we want you to come away with today. I want you to feel free to interject questions, and Melanie and Bruce are going to feel free to interrupt each other as they go so that you guys can have the benefit of everyone's experience here. Okay, your lavalier mic is where it's at. Bruce, you'll start us off.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the kind introduction there. I'll just spend just a quick minute. I made the commitment 5 years ago to begin networking, and I joined a Rotary. I joined a protected category group. You sometimes hear it called closed category, and I actually put that on my networking opportunities, closed category. I think protected category is probably a better word than closed category for that. And I started getting serious with all the chamber type events. And that year, largely through running a good operation and networking, we grew our business 20%. Well, that was 2010. The economy was in a big dive. And in 2011, we grew our business 22%. Again, that was almost exclusively through networking. And then another 17% the next year. Last year, Lenny's was down 5%. And when I look back at my networking activities, they significantly tailed off. I wasn't hitting as many of the business after hours. I probably only hit 3 last year. There were a bunch of events I just didn't make it to, and our business dropped 5% last year. And I attribute that to a lack of networking. So that's what I'm going to talk about in just a minute.
So I started my business just about 4 years ago, and that's when I met Tori Westbrook. And then 3 years ago, she kind of scooped me up and put me into the coming area because she saw what I was doing with social media and she was interested in learning more. And that's when I started coming to networking lunches and going to the business after hours lunches and getting to know the community members. But I think it's the relationship that I was able to extend online and the social media example that I was leading that made people look to me for help with social media. So I was really trying to lead by example and to be as helpful as possible to the people that I met and spoke with every day. And by giving as much as I could, and really my mantra has become give, and earn the right to ask. And that's what I've learned is when I can give help and I can offer advice and be an ear, that I earn trust and credibility. So I've taken really what I learned from live networking, offline networking, and applied it to online networking, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Perfect. So we're going to go back to Bruce for a start to the meat of today's topic. But I will tell you that if you are on Twitter or if you're on Instagram, or if you're on Facebook, and you love hashtagging, these are going to be our hashtag and handles. handle for today. So this is Melanie, this is Ruth, and this is me, and this is when we're talking about this on social media, we're going to hashtag CFCCOC network for today. And what you can do is after today's seminar, you can go home and see what everybody else said from today. If you're like me and you can't keep up with that and also tweet yourself and also learn something. I like to go later and say, oh, okay, this all makes sense, and maybe somebody will post a link or something like that. So if you are on social media and active on social media, we do encourage you to get involved online. Bruce, we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, I'm going to start off my presentation with a question. I'd like some input from you guys. What is the best networking event that you go to? Can anyone raise a hand?
Wednesday morning at the Norfolk Chapel.
Okay. Anybody else? What's the best networking event you attend? Not a big networking
Pick one.
Am I the only one?
Yes. Certainly Dick's not the only one going to meetings.
I think probably the best one that's been around in 5 years was the event held at the Villas at Canterfield. Atlanta Highway. From what I've seen.
You have a phone number there, Dusty? Yes. Anybody else?
This is me.
I do the chamber lunches that work real well for me. The chamber lunches work real well for me.
Let's talk about the weekly networking lunches.
Like at the Hampton Inn, we've only been to a few after-hour events, but the biggest one was to the Business Expo last year, and we met a lot of people at the
Anybody else have a favorite networking event? It could be monthly, annually.
Okay. It was kind of a trick question. Too close? It was really a trick question because, and I had a friend who I've known for years and years and years, I know her quite well, and her business was way off, and it was absolutely terrible. And so she emails me and she says, what's the best networking event you go to? And I could tell her question was, what networking event can she go to that'll make her successful? And she just wants to go to that one, but that's going to be the one that makes her successful. And that's why it's kind of a trick question. The truth is that there isn't a best networking event. The truth is that the only way networking is effective is if you have a networking strategy, a networking plan, you join several different types of networking groups that complement each other, and then you consistently work those. Melanie talks about building trust. You consistently go to the chamber events, you consistently go to protected category events, you see these people week after week or month after month. Rotary is a perfect example too. You gain their trust, they begin to trust you, and then you can start sharing your leads. And so it's really, really important to have a strategy and then to be consistent with your execution. And my sales showed that last year I wasn't consistent, and we lost 5% of sales. So that's good. Okay.
There's so many things that I can relate social media-wise to everything that Bruce has said. And one thing that I think of is that it's about choosing the right networking groups. When I started my business, I was a small business, and small businesses were my bread and butter. And so I started going to the lunch and learns, or the lunch meetings for the chamber, and I went every week. Bruce is right, it really helped me to be consistent and visible in order to gain that credibility and trust. But as my business grew, I grew out of small businesses, and I'm not really priced correctly. I'm not the right solution for smaller businesses, brick and mortar businesses. So I needed to start looking for media businesses, bigger businesses, big brands, and people who had networks that included the people I wanted to work with. And so I started looking for some of the awards, luncheons. I joined a BNI, it's a close contact networking group, and I joined an only B2B network. So I knew that the people in my room were going to be the people that I was targeting, that I wanted to talk with. And so when you think about social media, think about it in the same way. What audience are you looking for? And where are they hanging out online? And they might be on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram and on Google+. In some cases, they're only on LinkedIn, and they're only on LinkedIn, once a quarter. They're not super active. So I think a key is getting to know your audience and hanging out where they're hanging out.
Okay, quick question for you out there. What's one of the greatest tools in networking? If you have this one thing What is it? It's going to give you the highest return when you network. Anyone think of what that one thing is? If you only have one thing in networking, what would it be?
Smile.
Smile. Perfect. Anything
Sean
else?
says a smile.
Good looks.
Hey, you got that covered.
Handshake.
Handshake. That's good. Thank you.
Former client referral.
Okay. All those were fantastic ideas, and that's exactly where I was trying to go. Thanks for saying that. Your strongest tool in the world of networking is giving a referral to that person. That's how you start to build trust with them. That's how they start to know you're serious. And then they'll in turn feel inclined to return that favor to you and give referrals back. So if there's anything you learned from today from me, it is have a list of go-to people that you know that you can recommend to other people that you trust. It maybe isn't somebody that they can sell, but it may be a vendor that they can use or some advice that they need. Right now we're trying to open another location. We're having some trouble. It's through a Rotary context, and I'm getting some help through the health department. We're having trouble with the health department. And so that's the kind of thing. So think about the giving spirit first when you network, and that is going to be one of the biggest things that will help make you successful.
So let's go back to give, and earn the right to ask. I think one of the most important things that I want you to take away today is that social media is not unlike what you're doing right now in this room. You all are here together. You've gathered for a common purpose, a common reason. You're here to learn something together. I hope that you'll meet somebody here who will be beneficial to you today in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you meet somebody new that you don't work with for 3 years, but if you keep in contact with them, you may get business from them 3 years from now. You're still top of mind, you're still best at what you do. I don't remember what I wanted to say. Let's see, what did we talk about? Okay, so give referrals, that's exactly right. When you're in a room like this, you can make an introduction, make a warm introduction. You might email an introduction afterwards if you're thinking about that person. But you can also tweet thank yous and good to see yous today. And what that does is it gets your name out there in the Twitterverse in a way that is positive, in a way that's giving back to another person. When I mentioned in-depth drafts, Tori looks pretty good online. My community sees her, my community will look into what is in-depth drafts, who is this person? And she appreciates that, which means one of these days I can ask Tori, like, hey, can you help me promote this event? I really need your help. Can you just retweet this for me? And without hesitation, I'm pretty sure that Tori will be willing to do that for me. And so with social media, you can also reach out and meet new people based on common conversations. So you came to this room today to learn about networking offline and online, but you can go to Twitter to learn about growing your business. You can go to Twitter to learn about marketing. You can go to Twitter to learn about growing a vegetable garden. And you can find people who are interested in the same things and start conversations with them. And I think as far as new relationships, new conversations, you have to have visibility in order to establish credibility, in order to establish trust. But those conversations don't always have to be about my business and what I do and how much is it. It can be about things that I'm interested in. Now, if you do research, if you go look me up on Instagram, you know that I love my dog. You know that I love blood cancer research. You know that I'm really into bees. You can talk to me about any of these things and I'll be impressed. You know who I am. You're interested in some of these things as well. And that's how we started the relationship. We start that conversation, we keep that conversation going. And then I think it's beyond networking at that point.
Well, and don't be afraid to vet out the people that you're going to see at an event. One of our biggest successes in social media was from a networking event that was held way out of my personal comfort zone. I got on Twitter, and I was very, very active in Twitter for a long time. It's taken a back burner now, but there was a Twitter in-person, what they call tweet-up, and it was going to be in Alpharetta. I don't actually usually go south of the border like that, but I was very excited to be meeting some new people in a different area. But online, when there's an online event, when there's an in-person event that comes from online, you'll usually find a list of characters, okay, who's coming. So I went and checked out, well, who's coming? Well, one of the people on there had a huge connection with me. We were women in a very similar industry. Women in the vehicle industry, no matter how you touch it, women in that industry is very rare. Very, very rare. And so when I saw that she was sort of in the same industry, I reached out to her on LinkedIn and said, hey, I see that we're going to this tweet up together. I just want to make sure that we get the opportunity to meet. She has become our largest referral. Responsible for tens of thousands of dollars to my company each year. So don't be afraid what I used to call cyber stalk. Don't be afraid to go check people out. Who is it that I'm going to go see here today? If somebody talks about this event online, go find out who they are. If Marie Densmore says, hey, I'm going to this Lunch and Learn thing, well, who is Marie Densmore? And why is she important to my world? And how can I help her? How can she help me? Or what information could I learn? So don't be afraid to cyber stalk. Now you're going to tweet, don't be afraid to cyber stalk.
That's okay, go for it, use the hashtag. But Tori has a great point. We tweet publicly. We're putting this stuff out there. It's not that I don't want you to know it. So go and check it out. Find out what you can find out. Find out what you have common ground, and you warm up that conversation. You make that first introduction so much smoother, and you make a deeper connection when you do that. So I encourage you to try it. See what happens. Go back and look for that one person you've been trying to talk to, and see what you can find out. See where you might run into them in a networking group, and what you might talk to them about. It's not as scary as it sounds.
Great advice there. One of the things I wanted to mention, and I talked about having a networking plan and a networking strategy. Well, one of the reasons why that is so critical is I belong to a group called Network for Success, and we meet every Wednesday at our Lenny sub shop in the morning, and we exchange leads. We tell people, we educate them on what we do, what is a good lead for us, what is a good referral, and then we ask for referrals. Yesterday I asked, and I hadn't asked for quite a while, for some car dealership referrals, because Lenny's does a bunch of Saturday catering and Sunday catering at car dealers, and they order 50, 60, 70 at a time. I got 5 referrals because I asked for that. Well, my point with this is, if you go to multiple networking events, then you build a portfolio of people that you can recommend and you can refer. If you just go to one event, if you go to the business after hours every month, and that's all that you do, you start seeing the same people, and you don't have this base of referrals to hand out to the next person that you need to provide value that I talked about to begin with. And that's why you need to have a strategy and a plan. And my strategy was Rotary. That was fantastic. I didn't get a good solid lead out of Rotary, and I didn't do it just for networking, but I didn't get a good solid lead out of Rotary for 4 months. And then in the first year, I probably did $5,000 in catering by the time it finally came around. I also joined a closer for the Protected Carry Networking Group, Network for Success. That was critical. Really jumped on the chamber bandwagon. And those things complement each other so well, and I was able to provide value everywhere I went. Someone would ask me a question, and I could turn them in the right direction, or give them a lead, or help them out. So keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah, so much to say. There's so many good points in there, and it's so easy to relate these things back to social media. Tori, let me go. Oh, you're fine. Not okay. Fine. So I think Bruce has talked about being a resource, being that trusted person who will connect those dots. So when I'm new to the community, or I just opened my business and I really don't know what's going on, hey Bruce, I trust you. You help me with my catering. You know, who do you know that can wrap my table? Who do you know that can do my printing? Hey, there's Brandywine. There you go. You go there. Brandywine. So we can connect the same kind of dots using Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. But I think it's really about being that resource, providing information that's valuable, that your audience is interested in reading about, that's going to help them, it's going to change their business or change their lives in some way. So if you can tweet about things your audience care about, then they're likely to respond to you. And that's one of the most beautiful things about social media marketing, is that it's this conversation. For the first time ever, we have this opportunity to have a dialogue in marketing. It's always been this monologue and a billboard shouting from the mountaintops. Think about asking your audience what they want to know about. If you don't know what to say, ask them what they need. Ask them what they're interested in. So as far as content is concerned, think about being helpful, think about providing those resources.
Melanie, can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, absolutely.
So you've heard people talk about on social media, I don't want to get on Facebook and tell people what I had for breakfast. Okay? Some people say, I don't read Facebook because I'm tired of hearing about what everybody had for breakfast. It's not about what you had for breakfast. is that on the side of your breakfast were strawberries that you picked from Worthington Farms. And then it's strawberry season. So do you see the difference in a post of, I had a bagel at breakfast and I had a bagel with strawberries, have you seen this farm? It's the same thing as tweeting about this meeting that we're at. Hey, I'm at a lunch and learn with the chamber. Is that interesting? No. Hey, guess what Melanie just said? She said, give, and earn the right to ask. And people are like, oh, I like that quote. Right? It's just a mind shift in the information that you're sharing.
Hey, Melanie. So with Somedia or even with Lenny's and your networking, you have anyone give a wide range of people that can be a client. I mean, pretty much anybody can walk into Lenny's or, So what about those people who have a very targeted group of people that they're trying to reach out to? How does your strategy change? I mean, you can go to networking events where you're going to have a higher, volume of those people, but what about an event where you have a wide group like this? What's your strategy coming into an event like this where you have a very targeted group of people that you need to get in front of?
Excellent question, David. Thank you. Do you mind if I use the Talmadge Group as an example? Okay, so the Talmadge Group is a staffing company it's an IT staffing company. They're looking for very specific people, but they're also looking to work with the CEO, the HR rep, the hiring person at that company. So it's a very specific target of people we're trying to reach. So there's two very important things to understand. Those people may or may not be actively participating on LinkedIn or on Twitter or on Facebook. The people you're trying to meet may or may not actively be participating in live networking events. So I think there's a level of research involved to find out, is this the right place to be? And what are these people talking about? What are they interested in? And what are they maybe doing in the community that you can get involved in as well? But I do think it's important to target that person. And so my recommendation is to think about a dream list. And put together your 10 people that you really want to work with, or the 50 people that you really want to work with. Go out and do the research and find out where they are, and what they're doing, what their goals are, and how can you get to them? How can you talk to them? Now, in a room like this, where maybe one person is the person you want to talk to and all of the other 99 people are not, don't forget that each one of those 99 people have a networking, and that they may know somebody who can help you. And so I think that's where it comes in. You should give and earn the right to ask. So think about that. Earn the right to ask for what? A lead, an introduction, maybe an opportunity to write a guest post on their blog. Maybe it's a donation to your charity. Maybe it's a chance to sponsor something. So it can be almost anything that you're asking for, but one of those things might be that introduction to a specific person. So relationships, I think, are complicated. You want to think about this person, but think about this person's network, which is so much more valuable. Does that help? Does that answer the question? Okay.
Okay, I think I'm going to turn to some of the experts out there and have them make some comments to us. And I'm going to start over here. Jeff Tweed is with the Chamber of Commerce, and Jeff is going to talk for just a few minutes about some of the Chamber events that you guys may be interested in. So, have that, Jeff.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate everyone being here. It's great what they're bringing up, because one of our core strategies with the Chamber of Commerce is really helping businesses build relationships. We hold about 100 different events throughout the year: power networking lunches, business after hours, which they've alluded to, events such as this through our small business service centers, bi-monthly classes and meetings through our healthcare association in Forsyth County. The reason we do this is something that they're sort of bringing up and talking about, is that we want to give a wide variety of opportunities for every business to make connections with somebody. One of our strongest beliefs with the Chamber is it's about building relationships. It's not just about asking necessarily for a lead, it's asking and giving so that you have that right to actually ask for that lead. So we believe that long-lasting relationships will turn into long-lasting business. Something that Bruce has sort of alluded to. It takes time and commitment to actually do this. You have to keep coming to events, you have to keep coming to networking and opportunities so that you build that opportunity. So Certainly, if you have any questions on events that we are ever holding and not sure about it, please feel free to talk to myself or your membership sales manager. Ask us about these events. See if it's the right fit for you. We'll also always help put together a plan of engagement so that you're making sure that you're using the best value of your time and your effort for events that the Chamber is actually holding. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, there are no shortcuts to networking, that's for sure. Okay, our next expert actually runs the Women Who Means business group within the Chamber, Tori. So why don't you give us a little talk about that?
So the Chamber has an event, has a group called the Women Who Mean Business. Raise your hand if you've been to Women Who Mean Business. Okay, so we meet the first Tuesday. He really has. He really has. It's true. We meet the first Tuesday of every month at 7:30, and now our location changes every month. We have a different sponsor, different host every month. So you kind of have to pay attention to those emails that come from Laura, letting you know what's going on. The great thing about Women Who Mean Business that's very different from any other networking group that I've been involved with is it's okay to fail there. So many women in our community have learned how to give their elevator pitch from our meeting. Because we're okay if you go, hold it, I gotta start over. And that's where it's the training wheels, okay? It's where you can feel absolutely zero pressure. So we come into this group of, it could be anywhere from 15 to 70 women, depending on the month. And we can talk about, okay, here's some things that you can do to make that better. And that's not the purpose of the meetings. Obviously the purpose is to network and to enjoy each other's company. But it's very familial, it's very comfortable. And something else that we talk about when we're talking about introducing ourselves and networking is, tell me something interesting. Don't say, I have an end-up wraps and we put wraps on vehicles. That's not fun. Say, we did the whale band for the Georgia Aquarium last week. That's fun. Then people go, what? There's a whale band? I haven't seen a whale band. Tell me something that's interesting to me. If you're in real estate, tell me something that's interesting and important for my life. We had somebody who was in mortgage banking who would come in and tell us the trends every month. She would say, okay, you need to know that this is happening and there's this program and you need to watch out. I know that you're probably not thinking about refinancing, but here's why you need to consider it. So those kinds of, and obviously that can come from any networking group, but it's something that I'm very proud of in the Women Who Mean Business is that we teach our members how to network more effectively. And so when we go into a business after hours group and there's 200 people, we're very much more comfortable and able to stand on our own 2 feet. It's a really great place to go if you're new to the company and new to the community. But the other great thing about Women Who Do Business is this room is about 50-50. Women and men do business differently, very, very differently. And even though both sexes up here are talking about relationships, women are into relationships, and they don't want anything to do with you if you are not into relationships. So it's very important that women nurture our relationships with each other because that helps us in the community at large. Okay, so who's next? Because I know you're going to have me run across the room.
And by the way, in our meeting yesterday when we were talking about this event, Tori's worried about the speakers that I had, the experts I had were going to go too long, and she was going to cut them off if they went too long. And I did a very good job of that.
I'm watching the time. We're doing great. We're doing really great. I'm very proud of us today.
Our next expert is Donna. Can you talk to us about Rotary, please?
Absolutely. Expert in the loosest sense of the term. So I'm a member of Rotary Club. In our county, we have 5 Rotary Clubs. I'm in charge of a membership for the South Rotary Club. And what I tell people about Rotary is I say, if you come to Rotary and you look at it purely as a marketing standpoint and investment, it's not going to be an effective use of your time. It's not the most effective marketing tool. If you are looking at an organization like Rotary or Kiwanis as an opportunity to get involved in your community, learn how to do good, and be reminded of that on a weekly basis, it's wonderful. And what's going to happen is business is going to flow. I've seen it time and time again. I think we have, how many Rotarians do we have? Show of hands. Great, okay. It is a wonderful organization, and there's not just Rotary. I'm a Rotarian. I think Rotary is the best. But that's an opportunity where you can mix good deeds and marketing. So if you're interested about Rotary, come see me after the meeting. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. And again, do good and do good business with good people. It's really a great organization.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that, Kevin. Rotary's been wonderful for my relationships with a lot of people, and it's also helped me do a lot of business. Okay, next we've got a true expert in the protected category networking circle. Marie Densmore is going to speak briefly about the protected category that I'm actually a member of.
Thanks, Bruce. The reason I think everybody needs to be in a protected category networking group is because you're the only one there in your category, so your competition is not allowed in the room. Isn't that awesome? Don't you want to be the only one there that does what you do? You don't have to compete with everybody else, so there's not 17 realtors, 400 mortgage people, 30,000 life insurance people, so it's just you. That's why it's essential. And I'll tell you what I love about networking. In my business, being a real estate agent, it's important for me to have a team. So when my client says, who do I go to for mortgage? I have the mortgage person. Who do I use for a closing attorney? I have it. Who do I use for an appraiser? I have it. I have all the tools that they need. So my networking group provides that for me, makes me look good, and I like looking good. So my team is critical, and my networking group is a family. We pray together, we do things together, we uplift one another, we train each other, and that's important. So I would encourage y'all to get into a protected category networking group and be the only one in the group.
Thank you. Thanks, Marie. That was perfect. This right there, why don't you just stay? This one, you might scratch your head at first. Say, really? My Foresight Magazine and networking? Julie, why don't you speak briefly and tell us why that assists in networking?
Hi, my name is Julie Brennan, and as I'm listening around to Rollers, I do feel like the one outsider, if you will. I still believe in print, and I'm the proud publisher. Yes! It's like paper. But as I was talking to Bruce about the event today, and I realized all of these things you put together, and you're creating a web of communication. You're basically taking print, you're taking web, you're taking Twitter, social media, and all these, everything, all these wonderful things that are communication. You're putting them together and creating your own web. You talk, you write, you send messages, you communicate. That's what we're trying to do. We're communicating about our businesses, about our personalities, what we're all about, because ultimately that's what we're selling. That's what we're telling people about. So figure out how you want to create your own web. Print is fabulous.
Amen.
But thank you. Yeah. Create your own web and realize that all you're doing is building that relationship core of communication. And you move forward. And if you know Spanish, then let me know about that, because I know Spanish too.
Thank you, Julie. And Dusty here is going to speak for us. Leadership Foresight is a group I joined that next year as I started networking. And that has been one of the most fantastic groups I've ever been involved in. And Dusty's going to talk about it for just a minute here. Down here.
This is dangerous doing this thing. People say to me often, Dusty, you're awesome. How'd you get so awesome? And I look them in the eye and I say 2 words, leadership foresight, that's it. No, I'm sitting here thinking, and you guys are just absolutely right. The more you give, the more you're going to be tied into things. And really the 2 greatest benefits of leadership foresight, and last year I did leadership Cobb, so I have something to compare it to, but you're on even ground with everybody in there. So you're there, you want to learn about leadership, but really everybody in there is already established leaders. So the biggest thing for me is that I'm inspired by all the great people I see in the community and the opportunity I have to be around them. I go home constantly excited, talking about somebody I met or a talk that I heard. I mean, Bruce, and I don't want to be able to sleep after he's getting me so fired up about marketing. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I would say that leadership foresight is an absolutely great opportunity. If you don't know anything about it, make sure you go to one of their information sessions. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, if you look at the leaders in our community, our councilmen, our mayors, the business leaders, community leaders, even the charitable leaders of our charitable organizations, there's a real strong chance they have been through leadership foresight. So I'm going to wrap up with our panel of experts last with one that's near and here. Melanie already mentioned it, and that's why can helping out a charity be a fantastic networking opportunity to the story?
Me? Okay. Don't pick on me for talking too long. Okay, so tell me how many of you have now look, I know that all of you are charitable, okay? But tell me if you have a pet charity, something that you spend a lot of time in. Okay, perfect. If you don't have a pet charity, decide what interests you and find a pet charity. It might be pets. It might be blood cancer research. It might be feeding the hungry. Okay, it might be education. We have some Partners for Education in here. That's its own charity work. Okay? When you go out to do your good work, don't lose sight of the fact that you're creating an opportunity to network. And it's an even stronger opportunity than just walking into a room like this one where you're not, the thing that you have in common is that you're all in business, right? But if you walk into a room of a charity that you're passionate about, you already have something in common with everybody there, and that's that they are passionate about it too. So take those opportunities, sit on committees, sit on boards, and tweet about it. Post about it on Facebook. One success that the reason Bruce asked me to talk about this is a couple of years ago, 4 years ago actually, my husband was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And we decided to create a team of people that were built up of businesses that we loved and people that we loved. And we created something called Stick It to Cancer. And Stick It to Cancer raises money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Okay, those businesses became like a family. That family takes care of each other. The same way that Marie's talking about a close contact networking circle is the same way that you can think about your leadership for site committee. The same way that you can think about your chamber board. You always need to take, to Bruce's point from the very beginning, you always need to take your involvement to that next level. It's not enough just to show up. Because then they'll forget you by the next time when you're not there. When I used to spend a lot of time in Atlanta learning about social media when social media was brand new, the thing that they would say is, be where you're expected to be. If you post on Facebook once a week for your business, do that. Don't stop doing that. Because then you are no longer part of the picture. If you go to business after hours every month, keep doing that. And if you're not doing it, get your husband or wife to do it. Get your second in charge to do it. Send somebody in your place, but establish a presence at those places where you're expected to be. But charity networking is so much more personal, I think, than other types of networking because you share a passion. I'd encourage you to get involved in whatever you're passionate about.
Thank you so much. Well, you saw to a large degree my networking strategy. We started with chamber events. The women who mean business actually invite the men around every now and then. So I've done quite a few. Lunch and Learns is one example. I put Rotary in my arsenal. Leadership Foresight, fantastic. So you can see kind of how my strategy came together. And one of the things that all of that has led to is they invited me to be on the chair, Victoria, for the Small Business Advisory Council. And we're advisors to the chamber to help build this kind of event. And then not long after that, I got invited to the chamber board of directors. And that was largely because of my work with the chamber and Leadership Foresight. I'm now on another board with Veneer Partners, which is one of my passions. Veneer Partners runs the Lake Veneer Poker Run every summer. And last year we raised $250,000 in a 4-day weekend. I have built these wonderful relationships with these people on these boards of directors, and now I have an amazing tool of referrals that I can give to people. You can't imagine how many people have been saying, I've been trying to get to that guy for 6 months. Bob Russell's an example. Someone came and said, I've been trying to get in front of Bob for 6 months. I walked over there and I said, Bob, meet Nadine. And Bob ended up donating a bunch of money to her, what Nadine's group is. What's that? Anyway, Bob donated a bunch of money. Yes. Young, thank you. Bob donated a bunch of money, Young. She couldn't get in front of him for almost 2 years. So that's the kind of thing that'll help. So I'm going to wrap up with that and then hand over to Melanie.
Well, I have lots of thoughts. I was trying to be very quiet and listen to everybody, but I do think about social media networking very strategically, but I also think about live networking very strategically. And there's 4 things that I try to make sure that I do every month, if not every week. I am part of a protected networking group, close contact networking group. It's B2B only. I show up every time I come. I'm thoughtful about it. I try to show up with a referral for somebody or with a specific request. I need to meet this person at this company. I also participate in industry networking events, so like the marketing industry, is very beneficial for me because all I do is social media. I'm a specialist. We can help you with anything and everything in social media, but I can't build your website. I'm not going to help you build your brand or create a brand. I can build a buzz around your brand, but I'm not going to create your brand. I need people who do vehicle wraps. I need to know people who do outdoor signs. And so the industry networking events work very well for me because they will reciprocate. They don't know social media as well as I do, and so they'll send their clients to me as well. The third one is community and charity. So I want to tell you a little story about what I'm doing and what I've experienced so far. And so for the last 3 years, Somedia has donated social media services to Stick It to Cancer. So please, when you have a second, go and like the Facebook page, facebook.com/StickItToCancer, and just see kind of what we've been able to do. And Bruce has hosted events for Stick It to Cancer. I'm hosting events for Stick It to Cancer. This year, I'm running for Woman of the Year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I have a tremendous goal. But what Woman of the Year is very interesting, and I'm looking at this specifically from a business perspective. The other candidates who are running for Man and Woman of the Year are people that I probably would never have had the chance to talk to. These are executives at Coca-Cola and UPS and Comcast, and I mean, these are wonderful people who I really want to get to know. And we're both passionate about the same thing. I get to go and walk into a business and ask them to help me support an event and get them excited about promoting their business to support my event. In the meantime, they're going to learn all about what I do and how I can help them. It gets them talking about me, it gets them thinking about me, and so I highly recommend if you don't have a pet project, we'll welcome you with open arms and Stick It to Cancer. But find something that you're passionate about. There's nothing like it, and it will enrich your life as well as your business. And then the last thing, the fourth thing that I try to do at least once a month, if not once a week, is something that I love. I don't play golf, but I hear that the golf course is a really great place to build relationships, find new clients, and build a business. So I'm really into my dog, and we go to the dog park all the time. I meet people who have the same kind of breed, and we hit it off like you wouldn't believe. It's weird. But it's wonderful, and it's the surprising things that come out of those things that I just am participating in. So the social media part of this is to participate. Be part of the conversation, listen to people, participate on Twitter, and retweet people that you see. Whenever anybody retweets me, I'm going to look at it. Who is that? Who is that? Who are they? What do they do? How can I help them? It's that give, ask mentality. There's two other points I wanted to make, so stick with me. I'll make them really quick, I promise. The first is that social media is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And that's a theme that I've heard come up with networking a couple of times already today. Social media is not something that you dip a toe in and you try for 3 weeks, and if it's working great, if it's not, then you give up. It is a seed that you plant and you nurture every day until that tree bears delicious, wonderful fruit. The daily things and the time commitment is something that I don't want you to be intimidated by. If you can say one thing a day on Facebook, you're on your way. If you can tweet one thing a day on Twitter, you're on your way. It's okay. The other thing that Tori made me think of, with her example, and hi, I'm Tori, I'm in that we drive your marketing, that's great. But we wrap the whale vehicle for the aquarium, that paints a picture for you, that's a visual. Be visual in your social media marketing. Show examples of what you're capable of. Show examples of what your services are capable of that you haven't done. You can share third-party resources that don't detract from your brand. But be visual and try to be literally remarkable. So when you say something, do think through it, think about it. As Tori said, don't just tweet your breakfast. Tweet about the fact that where you got your strawberries and tag their handle. So be thoughtful in that, but be remarkable. Think about, what kind of response is this going to elicit? Who's going to respond to me and encourage me in my run for Woman of the Year? Who's going to retweet and help me promote events? Bruce will tell you that it's not about the numbers, it's about the engagement. And I'm very proud to hear him talk about that because we started working with Bruce 3 years ago. And it was all about the numbers. We've had so many Facebook fans. We need more Facebook fans. And we've worked together and we've come to this mutual understanding that it's about who are these people. It's It's not the numbers, it's who they are and what they represent, and who they talk to, and who they talk about, what they care about. And since we kind of turned that corner with social media, his engagement is impressive. People are responding to his content, which means that his name, Lenny, reaches farther and farther every time he hits the like button. And that's something that you can do to help each other. Something that Sick of Cancer has done, we take care of each other. What that means is that we like each other's posts on Facebook. We tweet, we retweet each other. And it's just those little things that we can do to support each other that make a big difference for all of us in the end. And so when you have networking groups, talk about those things. Hey, how can we just like each other's posts? How can we promote each other and support each other in that way online? And you'll see that it benefits you offline as well.
It's not the numbers, it's engagement. She said that, and that's actually why I switched my social media company right before Melanie had took over my social media. I had over 10,000 people on LinkedIn that were following me, or whatever that's called on LinkedIn. I don't use LinkedIn as much anymore. We were significantly over 2,000 people at Facebook. Twitter was through the roof too. But nobody was replying to my tweets. Nobody was sharing it. Nobody was doing anything with what we were putting out there. And that's how Melanie finally got through to me. It's not about how many people are on that list. It's who are they, and will they engage their brand? And so, and that's really the same thing with face-to-face networking is. You don't have to know 1,000 people, but you need to have a good 15 or 20 people that you trust and you can recommend to somebody else. So I'll just summarize kind of what I've been trying to say about networking. I think we've heard it several times. Be consistent, have a strategy, put together the groups you want to go to, and be consistent and have a strategy there. Use the blended approach. Your business may be different than mine, but there's still a blended approach that you can take to that. Most importantly, have a giving spirit. You really need to give first. Give, and have the right to ask. I'm going to use that. I like that.
Please do.
And then have a treasure chest of people behind you that at any moment you can call on to refer to somebody or help somebody out. So that's how I'll wrap it up. You want to say anything else?
Oh yeah, I'll say one more thing. Okay, so I want you to know that I'm here for you and I really do want to help. This is what I do every day and I'd love to talk about it and I can't get enough. So ask me your questions. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Somedia, like social media, but Somedia. We're on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, we're on Google+, I'm on LinkedIn. You can text message me, email me, whatever your questions are, don't hesitate to ask. I'd rather you ask than not. And I want to be your resource. Come to me and we have a team of people. We get back to you really quickly. We try to create resources and at the same time, when you ask me questions on my Facebook page, I'm your resource and it makes me look good.
Great.
Absolutely. If you post it to my Facebook page, I'll answer it for free. If I ask, I might tell you that it's a big answer and we need to have coffee. But I reserve that right. But yeah, I'm here for you. Thank you so much for being here today. I've learned something new.
Okay, so that is the end of their official remarks, and now it's up to you. Because I know they said something that you went, wait. So now it's your chance to say, all right, how did you do this? Or why did you do this? So who's got the first question?
Hi, I'm Irene, and my question is, which social media groups are important? Which one would you say are a must join?
Tell me what you like.
I'm creative graphic design.
Okay, great. When JD asked about, where do I participate? I think I said that we need to do a little bit of research. And so I think it is a strategic approach to finding out who exactly your audience is and where are they participating that should dictate where you participate. We want to look at social media in two ways. What do I enjoy personally? I'm all over Facebook and Instagram. But professionally, what's going to benefit me? LinkedIn and Twitter. So I need to make sure there's a balance there. Do you have to be everywhere? No. If you hire a social media company to manage your social media, yes, absolutely. You should expect to be on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Vine. Hope I'm not forgetting anything. But when you hire a professional company to represent you, you should be everywhere and you should be consistent so that you can go and do what you do to make money. If you are managing your social media, it's important to keep it manageable. So if you can participate every week on LinkedIn for an hour, and that's all you can possibly do, then do that and stick with it and be consistent with it. If you enjoy Twitter and well, I think that's a good point. If you enjoy Twitter, you're going to meet the people that you want to meet on Twitter because they're there also. So I look at where your audience is and try to be available to them where they are so that if they're looking for you, they'll find you. But also be where you enjoy being, and you'll naturally meet the people that you want to talk to. That's helpful.
And whatever you do, don't underestimate the power of research on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. It is amazing. Use that tool. Okay. Any more questions?
This was for Bruce. So I've been to a couple networking events, and I've noticed several different kinds of people. You got the people that sit in the corner and wait for things to happen. You got the people shoving business cards down your throat. Neither one of those seem to work, but there's something in the middle. So when you get to these networking things, what do you do to be successful?
That's a great question, Derek, and I know you actually know the answer to it.
I teed it up for you.
But that's a fantastic question, and it goes right back to what I've said all along. When you meet somebody at a networking event, the first thing you need to do is say, how can I help this person? What do you do? What do you need help with? That's what you need to ask them. You don't need to give them your 5 or 10 or 15 or 30 second elevator speech. Find out about them. How can you help them? And they're going to love, because guess what? They get to talk about themselves. They get to talk about what they're passionate about. So that's my approach. No cards, no stuff in their hands. Once you learn to write, you might hand them a card. So that's what I would say.
If you're walking into a room with cards in your hand, you probably have the wrong approach. In my opinion, if I ask someone for a card and they need to look for it or wait a second before they give it to me, then I'm talking to the right kind of person. Makes sense? Who's got the next question?
Hi, my name is Janice Shacklett, Audio Video Excellence here in Cumming. And I am trying to work on like video production for doing some kind of DIY, like how to hang a television on your own or something like that, to be a little bit more creative. And I didn't hear anything about like YouTube or Vimeo or anything like that. So can you talk about videos at all? And are they helpful?
Yes. You're right, I didn't mention YouTube. I said Vine and Instagram though.
Oh, fine.
Yes. So, but everybody's lazy. I'm lazy. I would rather watch a 30-second video than I would read your 3 sentences. Video goes farther than you might think. Video is so valuable. I love that that's what you do and that you're using it as your content to help your customers learn how to do things. So you're providing value to them. Anytime that you can take video, I highly recommend it. Think about video as far as your brand is concerned. You know, does your brand need to be very highly produced, very professional? Everything is, you're in a green screen kind of situation. Or are you working out, in a vegetable garden and you can teach somebody, what a grub looks like and why this is really bad for your tomatoes. And those are the types of videos that you can take on your iPhone and upload. Keep them short, do lots of little videos, and very consistently all the time, and then put them everywhere. Put them on YouTube, put them on Vimeo, put them on your blog, put them on Instagram, put them on Vine, wherever you are, and make sure that that video is available and easy to watch for the people you want to see it.
Okay.
Don't be afraid of video. I'm a little bit afraid of video, and I'm trying to get over it.
I'm terrified of video.
But video is so awesome. Where just did a video for me.
My question is, what recommendations would you have in terms of budgeting or managing your time for your social connections, whether it be going out or online? You're in the business of social marketing, so you're 24 hours, and you obviously love that, and it shows. I don't think a couple percent of us out here do that, and so I struggle with how much time do I spend doing some social or some sort of connection.
Especially if you're already busy. Like especially if you're not out there beating the pavement because you want business in. How do you handle it when you've got a steady stream of business? How do you justify that time? I guess that's too much. Because I know Peter's successful. So.
I'm just asking about kind of managing your time in both offline and online networking. Which one do you want to cover?
You will answer the online first.
Well, I guess it's not right to look at my time as free, so I don't really have to budget my time. But that's really not true because we all realize that there's other valuable things you can do with your time. But as a small business owner, we're a 24/7 operation if we need to be. So I don't know how to tell you how to budget your time. I think that comes with your strategy. Which groups make the most sense? Do I have time with leadership foresight to spend 1 day a month for 9 months and then work on a project? Rotary, can I consistently go to Rotary every week? And there's a breakfast Rotary that I belong to, and then the other 4 at Forsyth County are lunch. Well, that was easy for me to decide. I can't make lunch. Kind of busy. But Rotary was one that I knew I could make. I knew I could make breakfast. We're not making the sandwiches at 7:30 in the morning, so that was perfect. So I think you just need to figure out which ones are best for you, and then see if you can budget your time on that, and then
Time management, budgeting your time. So let's talk about return in social media. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. I want you all to think about what is the value, the net profit for one client for 1 year. What is that value for you? And these numbers can be across the board. If we're selling a book, it's $7. If we're selling, let's see, what's a good example? Let's say staffing. On average, $22,000 is net profit. So, is it worth it to outsource your social media? If you are looking at a company and your investment might look at maybe $300 or $500 a month, you can expect to have regular content posted to your social assets, and that's it. And so you're talking, at the very least, that's a good thing. Here at Somedia, we are looking for larger clients who have a greater opportunity for return. Our services start at $2,000 a month. Now, for a client who's making $22,000 on one client for a whole year, we need to help them sell 2 new clients in 12 months to not only cover their investment, but to show them a return. So I want you to think about, really back into numbers when you think about the time and money investment if you're thinking about outsourcing social media. When it comes to time, think about what's manageable first. Can you do an hour a week on LinkedIn or on Twitter? Okay. All right, so it's manageable, right? We can make that a goal. Maybe start with half an hour. Start small with little pieces and be consistent with it, and then build on that, and you will be successful. If you start out trying to do social media for an hour a day, every day, and you can't get to it for 7 days, you're never going to try again. So bite-sized pieces, make it manageable. Here, if you want one thing to do on Twitter that will help you in your business once a week, go to twitter.com/search-advanced. Yep, I can write it on the board for you too. Twitter.com, it's okay, twitter.com/search-advanced. Now, this allows you to search for, within a zip code, for people who are talking about X. And so it might be somebody who's opening a new business and they need a new logo, they need a new design. Maybe they're announcing that business for the very first time. You can search for grand opening, or maybe not grand opening, because then they have their logo already. But think about, what are people going to be wondering about? What are they going to be talking about when they need my service? In Tori's case, just got a brand new, beautiful 50 vehicle fleet, and here's all of our flight vehicles. If she gets lucky and she finds that tweet, she can tweet them and hopefully pick up that business. So that's the place to start. Once a week, take 30 minutes and search on Twitter. See if people are talking about what it is that you sell. And so they're talking about the need. You can also just search and try to follow and pay attention to the businesses you're interested in, that dream list that you have. Put them on a list in Twitter, which is possible. You can make a list where you only have these 10 people who are on your dream list. So when you spend that 30 minutes on Twitter, you go and you look at that list, and you just look at what they're talking about, what they have going on, and you might find an opportunity to show up at that person's event or run into them at a networking meeting. if your audience is not on Twitter and you do that a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times, and you're really not finding anything, switch your efforts to LinkedIn and see what you can find on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a pretty robust search. There's a news feed. When you first log into LinkedIn and you're on the homepage, look through the news feed. Look for people who've been promoted and send them congratulations. Look for people who wrote a blog. Read the blog and send them a response. Even if it's just, hey, that was really great, keep it up. That is the type of little warm touches that you can do every week that will benefit your business in the long run. If you can't be on there every day and looking for leads and doing sales, I would start there.
So 2 things. One is Melanie just gave you the way to not make social media a time suck. Most of us worry, I don't want to go there because it's a time suck. And if you just set the same time of day every day to check it, then you're golden. If you just say 30 minutes in the morning. But then don't let that little blinking window, if you have a computer that pops that up for you, don't just ignore it. Or set a setting that says hi. Because you can get sucked into a hole. And then you'll hate social media. And then you'll call out and go, why did I do it? Just a little bit at a time. The other thing I was going to say to Bruce's point, something that the 3 of us do, I know pretty regularly, that can help for in-person networking. We're all married. We all have small businesses. We sometimes make our business events date nights. And it might mean that I go to business after hours for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to the movies. I make a plan so that my kids are taken care of, so that I've got the time and the availability to go to a business event. And obviously, your strategy determines which one's important. But make it a date. Make it a point. Make it an event so that you look forward to it. It's not like, oh, you're going to miss that event, right? Make it fun. Right, yeah, back out the last minute. Don't do that either. Yeah. So just put it on your calendar as a date. And if you're not married, or if you don't have a significant other, maybe you're looking for a significant other, go find one at the networking event. But if that's not the kind of thing that you would enjoy after the networking event, find a girlfriend, find a guy friend, meet up there so that you can do it together. So it becomes not only a business event, but a social event. So now you're killing 2 birds with one stone. You are personally fulfilled, and you fulfilled a business commitment too. Maximizing your time.
Excellent tips for that.
Can I make one point regarding this?
Yes.
I don't know about the rest of the business owners in this room, but when I sold a couple of businesses in my career, but when I first started, I learned all about time management, how important time management. That was brought up. Marketing, paperwork, etc. throughout the day. And about 5 years into owning a business, I finally went to an executive coach at one point in time, and he shared something with me that was incredibly valuable in my career that I just want to share with you, and that is the obvious. We're human beings. Most of us as human beings are people of momentum. And what he would say is, Bruce, break up your week or your days or what have you into what he called 3 days, focus days, buffer days. 3 days, I'm not even allowed to pick up a business magazine. Can't bring anything up to my wife or my kids, nothing. Because we all know, people that don't own businesses, they have Saturdays and Sundays off. People that do work for 6 weeks before they have a day off, right? That's real. You need to have some free time. Your buffer days are your paperwork, your bills, your taxes, etc. And your focus days are the things that you do that allow you to make money. And God knows that's the purest approach, and I am certainly guilty of not adopting it. My friend Kevin, who's now gone the attorney, Kevin has Marketing Mondays. That's his day to market and build his business. Anyway, I'm the kind of guy that I enjoy clients and working with people, but there are days I just need to be in a cave and by myself. And anyway, just important stuff to think about.
So I thought of some tips that I'd like to share. Thank you. That was very helpful. One thing that you can try is schedule time for social media follow-up after your event. So I know I have this event. I know I'm going to be back in my office. Here's 30 minutes where I'm going to take all those business cards and put them in my CRM. And maybe this is something your assistant do. You put your business cards in the CRM. You reach out via LinkedIn. You follow everybody on Twitter. You see if they're on Facebook. You just kind of go through the list. And if you can do that little bit every single time, your network will build and it will get bigger and bigger before your eyes. And then there's one other tip about LinkedIn messages. As often as possible, send a personal invitation to connect. And there's two parts of that. Ask them to connect with you and remind them where you met them and maybe what it is that you want to talk about. The reason for that is a lot of CEOs, a lot of your C-suite is not going to look at LinkedIn every day. They'll look at it once every 3 months. And you want them to remember who you were and why you met and what you think that you had a great conversation about X. It makes a big difference.
Okay, so we are wrapping up, so let's get a few final questions.
Hi, Peter Wilkins from Favorite Software. I have a question. Bruce, you mentioned that before you worked with Melanie, most of your Facebook work was basically just a one-sided thing, just people saying, yeah, I like you, kind of thing. But then you transformed that and started being more interactive, more I think the word engaging with your customers. Can you give me an example of one of the things you did that actually did have a good impact?
Well, it's already been mentioned today. Anytime that we're doing anything with regard to Stick It to Cancer, and last year, I don't know the number of events, probably 20. How many events did we have last year? 24 events. So every one of those, Lenny's Sub Shop, Lenny's Atlanta talked about what we were doing with Stick It to Cancer, and those were our biggest. When you look at your metrics, what are they called on Facebook? When you look at insights on Facebook, our days blew off the top, blew the roof out anytime we talked about Stick It to Cancer, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So that's an example that has nothing to do with percentage. And that's really mostly what we do now. You go to Lenny's Atlanta and look at our Facebook page. I mean, sure, we bring up social Wednesday as a promotion that we do every week. But other than that, we're talking about March Madness. If you go look at my banner right now, it's March Madness. It doesn't have anything to do with the Sub Shop. And we'll talk about the Masters when that rolls around. Super Bowl when that comes around. So we just put out there things that people are engaged in right now. One of them, you may have not noticed, but on your Facebook, you're not seeing every single little post that you used to see from your annoying friends. I mean, I had to unfriend people because they post 15 times in one day. That doesn't happen anymore because what shows up on your feed now is what's relevant to you. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? So that's a big change, and that's why we kind of try to go everywhere because we want everyone to eat our food. I hope that answers your question.
I just want to I'm loud enough. I just have a little comment, Melanie, for LinkedIn, because that's kind of my world. But, I try to read articles in IT, and when I find one that's more interesting, they're not all very interesting, but some of them are more interesting than others. LinkedIn will actually, on your profile, it will remind you, it'll say in the bottom right, you haven't posted in X number of days. So I just try to make that number standard setting. And I didn't hear, I know Twitter doesn't do that, Facebook doesn't, but LinkedIn will actually tell you, remind you to post. So,
And JD, when you're talking about a resource, like an interesting article about IT, think about sharing your perspective or a story that you have related to it. It'll get people to maybe ask you something about it or read that article.
Somebody else get really scared when he said how many days since you posted. I don't want to know my number.
I do executive coaching in the emotional intelligence space, and so I'm all about emotions. And I heard recently, and I want to get your opinion on this, that the things that get retweeted or that go viral are things that really spark an emotion of either anger or humor, like make you laugh. So I wanted to get your take on that and how you could adapt that in your posts.
I believe that. I believe it 100%. I mean, so we talk about being remarkable, right? If I'm controversial or if I say something to make you mad, that's remarkable. And so there is a safe place in business to spark conversation. You may not take a position on something, but you may ask, what do you think? Hey, where's that Malaysian plane? What do y'all think about? And people will tell you their theories because they're excited about it. They're worried about it. I think you're dead on. And I would say that more often than not, the memes, the funny things, the inspirational quotes that are shared, almost regardless of industry, that is the most successful content we've ever seen. What you don't want to do is only post that stuff. Right, you post the funny stuff, you post the inspirational stuff, the stuff that, I want to share just because I think my friends will like it. But don't only do that. I think it's really important to have a balance there.
Yeah, Bruce's annoying friend that he unfriended.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Evoke an emotion, ask, how does this make you feel? And people will respond. I love that.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you to our panel. Let's give it up to them. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We hope you'll come back to our next Lunch and Learn. We do have other Lunch and Learn opportunities in May and July, so watch your email for the next topic. Those topics come from you and what you want to learn about. Please do put on your calendar on April 30th. Is our Business Awards Luncheon for small businesses. And I do see several nominees in the room here. So please, all of you, come and support our nominees and our award winners at the Business Awards Luncheon on April 30th. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
My application.